And there I am, baggy sweatpants, big t-shirt, once again, no bra. You would think by now that I would put two and two together that, you know what? When you don't have a bra on, bad things happen. So maybe you should just wear a bra 24/7 and all would be good in your life. Welcome to The Onion Peel, a show where we get real, raw, and honest about life. It's a space where authenticity lives and hope resides. The Onion Peel is a place where we peel back the layers of our stories and discover the unexpected flavoring that each one brings. Hey guys, I'm your host and semi-crazy Christian, Angela McConnell. I'm a middle-aged mom of 5 with a dead husband, and I've been through some shit in my life. Now, I'm on a mission to bring hope to the world. So join me as we journey through this onion and find hope in the tears. You ready to peel this thing? Hello, guys. Welcome to The Onion Peel. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with me. So, what'd y'all think? I put a little bit of a teaser tape at the beginning. They say you're supposed to do that for successful podcasts. So, decided to give it a whirl. I don't know. If I'm going to keep it, not going to keep it, let me know what you think. Also, I'm fighting a little bit of a cold, so if I sound a little deeper than normal, you'll know why. Let's pick up in the fall, because the fall is when school starts, and it's that time of year I always say that restarts your schedule. You form your schedule usually around the fall. Even if you're not a parent, the fall just tends to have that feeling of newness to it, new routines. So as the approach of the school year came, which was very quickly because the summer was so incredibly short, as I was thinking about the kids going back to school, I had so much fear wrapped into it. I just did not like the thought of my children, who 3 of the 4 that were still home were going to be in middle school, which is the god-awful worst time in adolescence. Middle school. Ugh, such a difficult few years. And I thought, my gosh, I got to send my kids into a lion's den with this ammunition that everyone is going to have to throw at them that their dad killed himself. And at that age, it's just so tough. And I couldn't handle thinking about having my kids in school. It would literally send me into panic, pure panic. And all I wanted to do was just grab my kids and run. I just did not want to have them face it. I knew that they would be made fun of. I knew they would be whispered about. I knew that it wouldn't just be the kids, it would be other parents, just because, it's a story and everybody loves a good story. We all do. And I thought to myself, I don't know how I'm going to protect my kids from all of this. I desperately wanted to put them into a new school district. And I thought, well, with school of choice, I could do that. But then really, how far away do I have to go to get out from underneath suicide's reach? And I knew that it was going to have to be pretty far. I knew it was going to have to be over an hour away before I could have a shot at not having the stigma around my children. And the whole crux to this situation is that I couldn't leave. I didn't have any money. I was given a gift to stay in my home by the bank, which was incredible, while they sat and figured out what they were or were not going to do. But I was so appreciative of that because I got to have a roof over our head. But I didn't have an option to go anywhere. And if I had an option, let's say I had owned the house, that sucker would have been up for sale as fast as you could have said boo, and we would have been the hell out of there. And out of our city, and most likely out of our state as well. I just wanted to get away from it all. I wanted to outrun the condemnation that suicide brings. I just wanted to get as far away from it as I could. But I couldn't. So I had to make a different action plan. And as I began to think about it all in my panicked nights, it started to really dawn on me that everything that I was afraid of what people were going to say or how my children were going to be ridiculed or made fun of, that all was simply shame. It was that monster of guilt and embarrassment and condemnation of the choice that my husband made. And I had never really stopped to think about it because I hadn't had a moment to do that because I've been too miserable. I had been crying. I had been trying to figure out how to breathe, all these things. But now I had to face a reality for my children because I had fear wrapped around them. And so as I began to process the situation, it was like I had this moment of revelation that I was like, wait a minute. Screw this. I am not going to be ashamed of Don McConnell. I'm not going to apologize for the fact that he didn't handle his problems the way the rest of the world thinks he should have. Because what the rest of the world thinks is nothing more than judgment. And only God has the right to judge. No one else. And I knew that. That much I knew. So I put my feet firmly down. And I looked shame right in the face, square on. And said, no, I'm not giving you power. You don't get to be a part of my life or my children's life. Because you, shame, want me to focus on what Don did. Not who he was, but what he did. Because that's what shame is all about. It tries to take what you did and make it into who you are. And that's not truth. That's a lie. Because here's the deal. The reason that God has the right to judge, and only him, is because he's the only one that knows the heart. Because the heart is what is judged. Not the actions, the heart. Of course, your actions should flow from your heart. But it's not that black and white. It's just not that simple. And that's why only God has that right. Because only he holds the knowledge of what is in the heart. The heart is very complex. I strongly believe that our intent towards people is good. We don't set out every day to try and hurt anybody or to try and mess somebody's day up or make somebody miserable. Our heart wants to do the right thing. But the problem is that we have this brokenness inside of us. We have issues that we haven't been able to resolve yet. We have hurts from when we were young or from when we were not so young. And we have never learned the right coping skills to get through that. And so it still sits in us. Sometimes it's an issue that we just don't feel like we're valuable, that we're worthy of love for whatever reasons. And we've lived with it our whole life. And all that stuff goes into what we call insecurities. And so when the heart comes along and tries to do something in love, in kindness, and compassion, whatever it may be, a lot of times all that stuff gets in the way. And by the time it comes out in our actions and behaviors, we mess it up. We make the wrong choice. We say the wrong thing. We hurt someone's feelings. We make a major mess up of our life. And that was not what we wanted. It's not even what our heart wanted. God knows the heart, and He sees all that other messy stuff that's in there because we're human. And He takes account for that. He gets to see it. He gets to know it. And so He gets to judge it. So since God is the one who knew Don's heart and knew all the things that went into his decision, and He's the only one, not even I, know everything that went into Don's choices, it became very easy for me then to see that it didn't matter what anybody else thought. I was able to change my lens. I was able to see a different perspective. And that perspective was, shame actually doesn't even exist if you don't feed it, if you don't acknowledge it. And so that's what I did. I basically throat punched shame and said, see you later. I'm not going to sit in your cloud because you're telling me that I've got to live in what his last thing is that he did. No, I'm not choosing that because that isn't truth. I'm choosing truth. And the truth is, my husband was a beautiful soul. Period. And so I sat my kids down and I said, here's the deal. We're going to go by what truth is. We're going to go by what God says is truth. We're going to let God judge Dad, and that's it, no one else. So we are not going to walk around ever being ashamed of who Dad was, not even for a second. Doesn't matter if somebody doesn't understand it. It doesn't matter if people say things like, how could he leave his kids? I just don't understand how he could leave his kids. Well, I'm sorry if you don't understand that. You don't really need to. What you really need to understand is that you just should love him. So those kinds of comments, those kind of opinions, those just need to be let go. And that's what we're going to walk in. And man, can I tell you how freeing that was? From this day on, the kids and I, we have never been ashamed that Don committed suicide. It's just not something that's a part of our being. We walk in the beauty of who he was. And then, wouldn't you know it, as soon as we decide to stand and face the giant, I get a phone call that told me I was going to be able to send my kids to a private Christian school. And I was just absolutely flabbergasted because there was no way that I could have made that happen on every level. But somehow, it was happening. It was quick, it was sudden, and it was awesome. So my kids ended up going to this small community of people who said, McConnell family, We're going to walk with you in your grief. That's pretty incredible. People that didn't even know us. They knew nothing. In fact, the only thing they did know was that my husband committed suicide. And they didn't show up with shame. They could have cared less about that. They showed up in love. And it wasn't just for me and the kids. It was for my husband. Even though they didn't know him, there was no judgment around what they thought of his choice. That school became our family. And I can tell you, as a widowed mom, I would not have made it without this school family. They literally saved my life. No exaggeration. They were kind and patient and understanding. And they just wanted to see us rise again. They never knew who we were before Don died. All they saw were the shattered pieces of who we were in that moment. But their hearts were just so for us. To be honest, it's hard for me to talk about it, because it touches me in such a place. It was such... Sorry. It was such a place of safety. It was such a place for me and the kids to be able to just fall if we needed to. And we just didn't feel that a lot in our current environment. Because with all the people that had known Don, they had so much, I guess, extra to process. They were trying to find their way through their own grief and their own confusion with it. So as you know, I've talked about this. It was just a lot of tension and a lot of stepping over boundaries. So I couldn't feel safe. But yet God picked us up and said, I know that you're willing to fight, but I'm going to make it so you don't have to right now, because you need to gain your strength. So I'm going to put you in this environment here so that you can heal. So we started our new life, and that was a new start for us. It was still very hard, and it took a very, very long time for us to rise again. But we were placed in an environment that it made it possible. It was exactly where we were supposed to be. Even though the kids had to make new friends, and we had to learn a whole new system and culture, we were given the grace to be able to do so. There was one morning, just as an example, and I have so many examples, but this one was early on. I would get up in the mornings to get the kids ready for school, and as you know, the mornings were very dark for me. I'd get everybody up, get them fed, and then they'd go and, do their thing, brush their teeth and get dressed. And while they were doing that, I would go downstairs in our bathroom on the main level, and it was a small bathroom. It had a heat vent in it, and I would literally curl up on the tile floor. Side note, which was heated. Oh, yes. All my bathroom floors in my old house were heated. Oh, man, do I miss that. Anyways, I digress. I'd literally crouch up in a low ball right in front of this heat vent, and I'd take whatever 5-10 minutes I had before we had to leave, and I would just try and catch another minute or two of sleep before I had to go out into the very scary world So the kids would come down. We'd get in the car. I'd open the garage door. And I'd take a deep breath. And just pray that I'd be able to make it to the school. They were very special mornings. Because every single one of us was heading into a new day that we hated. So I took that time to do whatever I could to encourage them, to reassure them, to let them know that somehow we were going to be okay. And I would drive the half an hour it would take us to get to school. And I always remember for so long being so pissed off at everybody else on the road because they were all just going along with their little lives. And I would just look around and I would be so jealous. And I'd think, you guys have no idea. My life is over. And you're just going on, going to work like you do every day, getting your coffee. You're going to go home to your husbands and wives and families. And here I am, driving a car filled with shattered souls. I just hated driving on the road every morning because it was such a reality slap of what my life used to be. It sucked. So, on this particular morning, we pulled up to the school. The kids got out of the car. And I could just tell by the look on one of my kids' faces, it just wasn't good. It was really not good, like worse than normal. So I pulled around in the line and I went and I found a parking spot. And I got out of the car and I started walking into the school. And there I am, baggy sweatpants, big t-shirt, once again, no bra. You would think by now that I would put two and two together that, you know what, when you don't have a bra on, bad things happen. So maybe you should just wear a bra 24/7 and all would be good in your life. Honestly, I guess I have a theme going here. I had a big jacket on. You know, you can tell I didn't have a bra on. I just knew I didn't. My hair is just crazy all over the place. So there I am, this disheveled mess, walking in the front doors of the school, not even making it up to the front desk. And I just start sobbing, just sobbing. And I remember saying to the woman at the front desk, "We're not doing good. We're having a really bad morning. I don't know what to do." And she just, eyes got really big and she's like, hang on. She made a phone call and I'm just blubbering all over the place and she's handing me Kleenex. There's little kids everywhere. I tried to be discreet, but when you're grieving that heavily, good luck with that. It just doesn't really happen. So I sat down and within a minute or two, somebody from the office came down and sat with me and said, "What's going on?" And I said, "I just dropped off the kids and so is not doing well. I can tell he's not doing well." And he went and got him out of class and brought him down. And we just went off to a kind of a private little area. And the three of us just sat and talked. Didn't really talk about much. My child was just so down, just so sad. And just said, "I'm never going to be happy again, so what's the point? What's the point of anything? Because I know I'm never going to be happy again in my life." And it's just hard because that's exactly how I felt. But there was no answers given in that moment because it wasn't about that. It was just about sitting with us. And sometimes that's all you need to do is just sit with someone that's having a rough moment. Cry with them even. And then after a little while, he went back to class and the rest of the day was okay. I mean, we didn't have any good days, but the day was okay. And that was the beauty of the environment that we were in, because every single one of my children had been told, listen, if you need to just walk out of the classroom because you're having a moment or something's really bothering you or you think you're going to cry or whatever it is, you just get up and go. All the teachers know. You don't have to ask. It's fine. Just go ahead and do what you need to do. Come to my office. You can just sit in my office and have your time. I mean, can you imagine that? In today's school system, that just doesn't happen. Yet, here my kids were, given the freedom to grieve, to have an ugly moment, to sit in the confusion that was their life now. And we all need to be able to have that freedom. We all need to give each other the grace to just be in the muck that we're in. Because that's really what love is. Freedom to just be where you are and who you are in that moment. You know, I talk all the time about the importance of being able to recognize hope, because it's so easy to not see it, which is kind of the whole point of why I do this podcast. Look at this example I just shared. I had a fear of my children getting hurt, was given a gift of a new school, so that fear was taken away, and yet I was still desperate and miserable. Now, obviously, I'm still grieving. In fact, just starting my grieving. But the point is, how much better could I have been if I was able to be aware of the depth of hope that I was sitting in? Here's the good news. Through all my experiences, I've gotten better at noticing that even though a situation might be bad, I'm still sitting in hope. And when I know that I'm sitting in hope, everything is just easier. It's not so dark. It's not so downtrodden. I still don't like it. Most times I actually hate it. But if I know hope is there, then that's what I'll choose to sit in. Because why wouldn't I? Why not rest in a place where you know the possibility for greatness completely exists? So if we can see it, we can sit in it. Well, that about wraps up this episode, guys. If you're liking the show, help me promote it. Share it with a friend. Share it with a coworker. Go to Apple Podcasts and give me a review. Or go to the Onion Peel Facebook page and like it or share it. You can also follow me on Instagram. And don't forget about theonionpeel.com, where I have my blog and all my merch, which is another way that you could help me promote the show. Any of those ways would be so appreciated. As y'all know, my heart's desire is to just bring hope to everyone and anyone who needs it, which really is all of us. So, with that, I think it's time to put this onion back in the bin until we talk again. I hope you guys have a truly amazing day.